I think a lot of us have some of the common challenges, so let me start with this, and I'm going to call out all the people who came to church and sat in the back first. That was also a joke, bear with me, it's the end of the big two here. Does anybody want to share some challenges with interdisciplinary team that they've experienced? Or maybe the reason that you wanted to come to this presentation in particular? I can volunteer, that's fine, sir.
Different roles always assume that their role is the toughest.
Absolutely.
They don't see what's below the waterline for the other roles.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Tough when you get an MD or a psychiatrist in the room with 20 years experience and somebody with lived experience, with 20 years of lived experience in the same room. They both are valid in that their experience bringing to the table, they have valid points, but what we need to do is find a way to focus that. Great. Any other thoughts? Yes? Sure, yeah, great point. Any other thoughts? Yes?
I think sometimes too within even agencies, like there are programs that exist to do certain things, but not everybody within the agency understands what each of the programs do.
Sure.
So sometimes it's, almost like reinventing the wheel if we don't have to. And we're like, that exists already, we should talk to those folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes what we see too is we'll have meetings, right? We'll have our multidisciplinary team meetings, and I use MDT purposely. We'll talk about the difference in a moment of the two. But we'll have those multidisciplinary team meetings, and then shortly after, there were sub-meetings, right? The people who might agree in that room didn't want to tell the others that they disagreed, so they'll go have their meetings, and the other ones are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the doctor said this. I really think we should do this. But who ends up suffering from that in the long run? The people we're trying to serve, right? So we need to, and I think we all can agree in this room, can do better. We decided we were going to take that one step further with a couple of our interdisciplinary teams. So real quickly, my name is Joseph Rea. I am the Director of South County Practices for Centerstone. I oversee about 13 programs in the 20th Judicial Circuit in Southwest Florida for us. That includes 2 FACT teams, 2 CAT teams, a housing outreach treatment team, assisted outpatient treatment, and several others. The reason I named those specifically is because they all are interdisciplinary teams. And over my last 2.5 years being there, we have focused on that interdisciplinary, facilitative leadership, psychological safety type of team. And we have seen the results in workplace satisfaction and in client care. So we hope to share a little bit of that with you today. Along with my experience in interdisciplinary teams, I am also a parent to 2 children. So any parents can relate that it is multidisciplinary. You have to get on that.
Okay. My name is Nisha, and my background is I'm a licensed therapist, and I wanted to share that I've been on several multidisciplinary teams, right? And so to kind of get some terminology here, that is when each expert member focuses on their own goals from their own perspective, right? So I worked on foster care teams for 6 years. So the probation officer, his goal is one thing, right? The therapist's goal is another. And so working on those teams was very eye-opening, and how it was really hard to work together. And that's because we weren't an interdisciplinary team. We didn't have a single shared goal. We had our individual goals for the child. And so a lot of times we had conflict that we would have to work out and even remember, oh, we all care about the same thing, even if we don't have the same goal.
Absolutely, and the criminal justice system is the perfect example of multidisciplinary teaming. You may hear him getting all confused too. Because what we do is we bring the probation officer to the table, the court, the judge, the attorneys, the treatment providers. I was, in a past life, a probation officer at treatment teams, so I'm able to see it from that perspective. What's so difficult, though, is getting all of those folks together and understand what is therapeutic jurisprudence like, because what's the ultimate goal? To make sure that the community is safe and the person who's in that program doesn't come back, right? Okay.
So we started this project by doing a needs assessment. And here you'll see who we talked to. And some of the people are in this room, and so they can remember this happened around a year ago. But we talked to people from the AIT staff that Joe oversees, and we asked them questions about the training that they've received and what they think about interdisciplinary teaming. That's a mouthful, isn't it? But another way to say that is the way that we work together for the client, right? When we do have that single shared what is this way of working like for you in practice? What is it actually like? So about the model, and then how is it with your team, which they have a fantastic team. And from the needs assessment we learned that there were needs, right, that we could do something about. What did they need, even though they were already a high functioning team? So one of the needs that came out, I don't know if you can see the quotes here and how they're highlighted, but the word new staff, right? So when we asked staff, what would you say are the key challenges in working well together as a team? There were so many things around new hires, right? So they don't know how we work, they don't know how to communicate openly. That's very uncomfortable, right? I'm sure there are many people in this room who don't communicate openly with your own family, right? Or people you work with. Also, new people, new hires not taking recommendations from the team of how to approach a client. Hey, we already know this client, and this is how you should go about, asking them to do something or going grocery shopping with them. And then also that some new staff have difficult personalities. And so we learned by talking with them that what they meant by that is they weren't bought into teamwork. They weren't bought into shared power, shared decision making, shared effort, shared accountability. And it makes it really hard to work with